Trygve Halvdan Lie. July 16, 1896 December 30, 1968, was a Norwegian politician, Labour leader, government official and author. He served as Norwegian Foreign Minister during the critical years of the Norwegian government in exile in London from 1940 to 1945. From 1946 to 1952 he was the first Secretary-General of the United Nations. Lie earned a reputation as a pragmatic, determined politician. Early life: Lie was born in Christiania on July 16, 1896. His father, carpenter Martin Lie, left the family to emigrate to the United States in 1902, never to be heard from again. Trygve grew up in simple circumstances with his mother Huga and a 6-year-old sister. His mother ran a boarding house and cafe copyright in Grorud near Oslo. Lie joined the Labour Party in 1911 and was named as the party's national secretary soon after receiving his law degree from the University of Oslo in 1919. Lie was editor-in-chief for Det 20 Diahunda from 1919 to 1921. From 1922 to 1935 he was a legal consultant for the Workers' National Trade Union. He chaired the Norwegian Workers' Confederation of Sports from 1931 to 1935. Political career: in local politics he served as a member of the Executive Committee of Aker Municipality Council from 1922 to 1931. He was elected to the Norwegian Parliament from Akershus in 1937. He was appointed Minister of Justice when a Labour Party government was formed by Johan Nygaardsvold in 1935. Lie was later appointed Minister of Trade and Minister of Supplies. A socialist from an early age, Lie once met Vladimir Lenin while on a Labour Party visit to Moscow and gave permission for Leon Trotsky to settle in Norway after he was exiled from the Soviet Union. However, because of pressure from Joseph Stalin, he forced Trotsky to leave the country. In 1940, when Norway was invaded by Nazi Germany, Lie ordered all Norwegian ships to sail to Allied ports. In 1941 Lie was named as Foreign Minister of the Norwegian government in exile, and he remained in this position till 1946. United Nations career: Lie led the Norwegian delegation to the United Nations Conference in San Francisco in 1945 and was a leader in drafting the provisions of the United Nations Security Council. He was the leader of the Norwegian delegation to the United Nations General Assembly in 1946. On February 1, 1946, he was elected as the first Secretary-General of the United Nations as a result of a compromise between the major powers, having missed being elected President of the First General Assembly by only a small margin. As Secretary-General, Lie supported the foundations of Israel and Indonesia. His passionate support for Israel included passing secret military and diplomatic information to Israeli officials. He worked for the withdrawal of Soviet forces in Iran and a ceasefire to fighting in Kashmir. He attracted the ire of the Soviet Union when he helped gather support for the defense of South Korea after it was invaded in 1950 and later worked to end the Soviet boycott of UN meetings, though his involvement had little to do with the eventual return of the Soviet Union to the UN. He was opposed to Spain's entry into the United Nations because of his opposition to Francisco Franco's government. He also sought to have the People's Republic of China recognized by the United Nations after the nationalist government was exiled to Taiwan, arguing that the People's Republic was the only government that could fulfill the membership obligations in full. He has been criticized for his failures to facilitate negotiation in the Berlin blockade, as well as his failure to bring about a swifter end to the Korean War. His critics argue that he was under the influence of a select few in the UN Secretariat. He has also been criticized for his arrogance and stubbornness. On November 1, 1950, over objections from the Soviet Union, the UN General Assembly voted by 46 votes to 5 to extend Lie's term of office. The vote was a consequence of an impasse in the Security Council in which the US refused to accept any candidate except Lie while the Soviet Union refused to consider Lie due to his involvement in the Korean War. The Soviet Union subsequently refused to acknowledge Lie as Secretary-General and, having been accused by Joseph McCarthy of hiring disloyal Americans, an allegation that he attributed to the pressing need for civil servants following the establishment of the UN. Lie resigned on November 10, 1952. Some scholars rank him at the bottom of all UN Secretary-Generals. One who presided over a long list of diplomatic failures, tarnished the UN, and accomplished very little. On the other hand, it can be argued that Trygve Lie built the United Nations organization from nothing, including establishing a physical presence in a huge office building in New York, after having started in a sort of gypsy camp on Long Island. In addition to this, he had to deal with a number of post-World War II conflicts and conflicts with roots in the creation of the Iron Curtain. After the United Nations, Lie remained active in Norwegian politics after his resignation from the UN. He was the county governor of Oslo and Akershus, chairman of the Board of Energy, Minister of Industry, and Minister of Trade and Shipping. He wrote a number of books, including In the Cause of Peace, an account of his years at the UN. Personal life: he married Jara Jensen, in 1921. The couple had 3 daughters, Sissel, Guri, and Mette. Lie died on December 30, 1968 of a heart attack in Geilo, Norway. He was 72 years old. Awards and honors: Trygve Lie was awarded a large number of Norwegian and foreign orders. Among these, the Norwegian highest civilian award Medal for Outstanding Civic Service, the Grand Cross of the Order of Dannebrog and Grand Cross of the Order of St. Olaf, Czechoslovak OWL. He was awarded numerous honorary doctorates by universities throughout the US and Europe. Trygve Lie was the holder of a number of other orders, decorations and other honors. Trygve Lie S base is located in Furuset Center in Oslo. In this square stands the bronze statue of Trygve Lie, created by the Norwegian artist Nicholas Widerberg, which was erected in 1994. Trygve Lie Gallery and Trygve Lie Plaza are both located in New York City. Selected works: Den nye Bedstveislov, 1933, De Forent Norgene, 1949, Civilienne for Freden, 1954, International Politik, 1955, Liv Elodar. Norge I Krig, 1955, Med England I Altlingen 1940 42, 1956, Jamova, 1958, Oslo Moskva London, 1968. References. Other sources: Gaglian, Anthony. The United Nations under Trygve Lie, 1945–1953. ISBN 978-0-8108-3698-3. Barrows, James. Trygve Lie in the Cold War, the Union Secretary-General Pursues Peace, 1946–1953. ISBN 978-87580-148-3. External links: Trygve Lie Archives on UN Archives website. Trygve Lie. Storting at No. About Trygve Lie: Trygve Lie Gallery in New York City, Trygve Lie Plaza in New York City, Trygve Lie Symposium.